Welcome to the podcast for another week after round one. Oh, look at this. Those sweet Red Bulls.
Crack it open.
There you go. We're recording this. It's about 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, this is your fifth for the day.
You go first.
Yeah, you go first.
Now, round one, run and won or lost. First game, let's focus on. Game in focus this week. Panthers versus the Broncos. It was
built
Panthers,
up.
It was built up.
It was built up to be game of the round. It fell a little bit flat for a couple of reasons, but I think there was a key couple of moments to say Penrith, they're not going to be anywhere but the top four again this year. Just so professional. Like we've said this a number of times, Matty. If you want to win the majority of games in the first 4 to 6 weeks, defend well, have good completion rate, and have a halfback that's got a great kicking game. Yep. That's exactly what Penrith did.
They just put him in a good old-fashioned stranglehold.
Yeah, they did.
That's what happened. And if you go back and watch the game, where Penrith, typical Penrith, just kept handing back the Broncos the ball in their own 5 metres, bringing them out. And the conditions were difficult. It was very difficult conditions to advance the ball towards the sideline, and they just put him in the phone box and just frustrated the hell out of him.
And then put the ball up, and Jenkins chases through, put some pressure on Walsh error. There was just a couple of just more clinical ways of scoring tries as opposed to flamboyant ways, just turning the screws tighter. There was a little bit of a shift in the way that Penrith are going to play. They shifted the ball a little bit out of their own end. Mm-hmm. Normally they're very much Isaiah Yeo through the middle and grind their way. So there was a little bit of that. And I thought the Broncos missed the mark. I thought the Broncos tried to do the big flamboyant play and try to score. Yeah. And when the pass there was an error or a turnover, it just allowed the Penrith machine to get into good field position and grind away at the victory. I thought the Broncos were too much sideways big play.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't work. Sideways big play. Yeah. And when Reece works, it works. But when it doesn't, you've got to find different ways. Because I think, the Broncos missed a chance in that second half, trying to find a little bit of rhythm and win that game. Jack Cogger comes on the field. He's defending next to Mitch Kenny and Lindsay Smith. That's a small middle. Yep. On the Broncos, Payne Haas, Xavier Wilson, Patrick Carrigan. Don't go the shift play with Reece Walsh 2 passes wide. Centralise the attack, bash the front door down and get Reece to run through the middle as opposed to shifting it.
If the Broncos' performance had a twin brother, it'd be the Roosters, wouldn't it? Trying to football their way to dominance. Yeah. And if Penrith had a twin brother, it'd be the Warriors, which we'll talk about a little bit later. How that grit, simplicity. And the thing about one of the advantages that Penrith got over every other side is Nathan's kicking game and his composure. Correct. In the very fact that they've got the ability, if they want to play really conservative and just go wham, 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 wham down the field, attacking kick. And if if you give him regular opportunity for attacking kicks, they're going to beat you 95 times out of 100.
And the Penrith had some errors. They weren't alone, but the Broncos had 18 or something. It was crazy the way they were disrespecting the ball, and you just cannot do that. They might beat a team at the bottom of the ladder with 18 errors, but they are not going to beat Penrith or Melbourne. And what they did last year, remarkable. Slip up in the World Club Challenge. They're now on a little bit of the back foot, but they will bounce back. They just need to simplify their football. I mean, both sides of the ball. Don't overcomplicate it. This game is pretty basic, but we try to tend to make it a bit more complicated than it is. If they just generate some more forward momentum as opposed to going for the big shift, the big elaborate play, they'll be okay.
Well, that's it. If you're going to beat the Panthers, you got to complete really high. Because if you don't, like I said before, you're going to put Nathan into that territory at the back end of sets, and that was the tail of the tape. If you watch during the game through the games, Penrith, the first try is Broncos make an error at a certain part of the field. They march down, they put an attacking kick in, and they score. Yep. It was interesting, and we said about the Panthers, what they're very, very good at, Coop, is self-correcting on the run. Mm-hmm. The second try came about, it was like they went through a patch. They made, in 3 consecutive sets, the Panthers made errors. They just forced the ball a little bit too far. They were taking the ball and trying to pass into the line. Suddenly you saw them just totally self-correct themselves. Pull back to simplicity, attacking kick, it was an error, and then the play after, Dylan Edwards scored that try, and Pakes was just gone, he couldn't get across. Yep. It's just an example of how their ability to pull back and adjust on the run.
And I think I liked what Jack Cogger did. Isaiah Yeo is the best ball-playing middle in the competition, but if there's going to be a beneficiary of this 6-man interchange, I think Penrith just nailed it with Cogger because he could be plugged in and plugged out when the game needs him to be.
Coop, I thought what he gives Nathan in that last 15, 20 minutes, and you're a halfback very similar to Nathan. You steer and control and all the rest of it. Sometimes, you know, when you're doing that week in, week out, it can get mentally tiring. You see when he comes on in those 15, 20-minute bursts, Nathan frees up. Yep. I spoke to Jack Cocker about the grand final they won against Brisbane, and he was crucial in that win. Without Cogger, they don't win that game against the Broncos. And I said, what was the message that Ivan gave you? And he just said, mate, get on there and just, you know, take control,
Yep.
like, of the team. Don't support Nathan. Take control. Get the game plan back on and free up Nathan. And when he ran on the field, he said to Nathan, he said, mate, let me control it. You just float around. You play more of a second receiver role. And he did. That's what he brings.
I think other teams will now start mirroring that. So that six-man interchange, put a half that can control the middle or be dynamic enough to play dummy half and run the footy.
Some standout performances. I'll lead off here, Coop. Mate, I'm so happy for Tanner Boyd.
Yep.
You know, he's been through the ringer a lot. He's a kid that you can see confidence doesn't come natural to him. Very similar to Chanel Harris-Tavita. Thought he was incredible defensively. That little play there, that show and go.
Yep.
Everything changed for him after that. It was just the confidence booster he needed, Tanner. And boy, they were good. The Warriors, mate. You know, it's like you were saying about Penrith, Coops. It's simplicity. It's hard.
Yep.
You know, straight running, physicality in defence, high energy defence, carries you a long way.
And I think if there's a team in the competition that needs to win all its home games, I think it's the Warriors. Yep. You win all your home games, you're a chance of playing finals if you jag one or two away from home. So they need to get off to a good start. They got that home crowd up and about. And I think it was good coaching too, because what they did is they used their power forwards to sort of control the Roosters' power forwards, but then they attacked Cherry Evans and Sam Walker on the edges.
Yeah.
The Tanner Boyd try, show and go inside shoulder on Cherry Evans, and then Klukstar's last try, just movement in and around Sam Walker, and he came up with thin air, and Klukstar goes through. So it was good coaching.
They're really well drilled side, aren't
they?
Yeah. And you know, the Warriors are renowned for their flair, and there is flair, but it stems all off that power football, play through an opposition. Yeah,
Fisher Harris, physicality through the middle was good. But then, I think one of the other standout performances with losing the last two grand finals in a row, some people saying Parramatta on the up, they get scored against early on. Harry Grant and the Melbourne Storm's performance the other night.
What a player, what a player.
Single-handedly dismantled the Parramatta team. And there was a lot of confidence from Parramatta to go into that game. But in the strike of the first 20 minutes, they were up behind it, under pressure. And a little bit of tactics in that game. Obviously, Jonah Pezzett, former Melbourne Storm player, they knew that his defence probably wasn't up to scratch at different stages, physicality and decision-making. Go back and watch some of the tries that Storm scored in the first half. Watch the reaction of Jerome Hughes. He throws a short pass into Pezzett before the Jack Howard try. Quick play, the ball runs over Pezzett, Jack Howard scores the next play. Yep. And Jerome Hughes is up and about because he knows that he just dismantled young Pezzett through a short pass, quick play the ball, try next one.
Halves don't get much breathing space, do they? Like oftentimes, we don't, a young half goes in and we expect things from them straight away, when in reality, Coops, as we said before, there's that progression. 30 games in, they start to get comfortable. 50 games, and every 20 games after that, you start to see them improve. Jonah has been hyped so much because there's very few pure halfbacks around. But you go back and look, I think it was his 18th first grade game.
Yeah.
Like, he's a rookie. Yeah. He's a rookie player.
I think it was an error from Pezzett. It was Joe Chan, the back row from the Storm, pressuring him. Wiped him out before he wanted to pass the football, made an error, stood over the top of him. So there was intel from Melbourne Storm that helped them win that game against the Parramatta Eels on the week. I thought the other standout performer, Braden Trindle and the Sharks.
Oh, man.
There is something about Trindle and Hines this year that's different to the last 2 years. Now, I know it's only one game and we're not going off too early, but Sharks have they've got through the last two prelims. They need something this year. They get to another prelim and fail, people are going to go, okay, this roster needs a shake-up. And there is a lot more swagger and confidence about Hines and Trindle this year than there has been in the last 2 years. He was it 2 tries, 4 try assists? That is pure domination from a halfback in a game of football.
Oh, mate, he was fantastic, Braden Trindle. And I was talking to Josh Adoko last night on the Sunday night show about it. And we said, when you talk about the best halves in the game, Tricky never gets a mention.
Yeah.
Of course, he's probably not the most flamboyant. He's not that sort. You look at him, he doesn't look like a really athletic, but he's a pure footballer, isn't he? What do you think about Ethan Sanders?
Oh my goodness.
Played good, didn't he?
5 games, scores his first try, up against Jamal Fogarty, former number 7. There's a lot of things that says a rookie halfback might just hesitate and step back a little bit.
Yeah.
Game on the line, runs the ball, scores a try. And then we interviewed him after the game and I asked him about the field goal and he said, I actually wasn't thinking about the field goal, but then I realised it was a quick play the ball and the Manly players didn't send pressure and I just went into, this is an opportunity. The fact that he summarised that in a split second, there is something about this kid because most young halves will either, I've got to kick it at the corner, or I'm just going to spray one here because I could make it, I could win it. The fact that he actually broke it down and said, okay, well, that's a quick play the ball. I'm near the 40-metre line. I can kick this. There's no pressure coming. Actually, I'm going to have a shot.
Yeah. It's a good point you make.
Very
Because looking back in hindsight...
You have a look at the replay. The pressure that comes from Manly is not there. In a game-winning moment, there's no one from marker shooting out really hard. There's no one from the front line shooting out. And Tom Trbojevic said after the game that, we didn't think he would take the shot.
That's interesting, Coop.
And he noticed the pressure and took the shot.
That's interesting because I was thinking after the game, I was thinking, my God, there was just so little pressure. And I thought, was it the fact that Manly were a little spooked, given the fact that they got a penalty for being for Canberra being a step offside that sent it in the golden point? But you're right, the way he stood there gave no indication whatsoever he's going to go for a field goal.
Jake Trbojevic is not shot out of a cannon to put pressure on. There's no one from the front line that has moved up. And young Ethan Sanders senses that and goes, you know what, this is my opportunity. And he wins the game for his club. And that, the question mark around him and Strange, being 2 young halves coming through, they've played a lot of junior footy together.
Have they?
Yeah, so there's a combination there. And behind that forward pack, with that speedy outside backs and athleticism, there was enough in that performance that says, I don't mind what Ethan Sanders can do.
Well, let's talk about that combination. We'll talk about plays and sequences of note. Ethan Strange and Ethan Sanders, as you said before, they really impressed me. Interesting that Ethan Strange is now playing on the right side, which they tell me he is his favourite side. But that's the example, is that he takes them on, puts a little dent. They don't try to reset. They just keep the kettle boiling. And there he goes, a little split play, 1 under, 1 short, dummy, and he goes through. That's how, when the kettle's boiling and you've got them on the back foot, don't reset the middle. Don't buy yourself time. You're buying the defence time. Keep going.
And as halves, you should always do what you're good at. Ethan Strange running the football. Looks like this kid is good going across the field and can show and go. So I like that he ran the ball and then Ethan Sanders ran the ball. But I like that Strange has gone to the right-footed kicker. Needs to improve in his kicking game, so kicking on that side of the field is better for him. And Ethan Sanders, as left footer on the left side, is much more confident kicking the ball.
I liked Ethan Strange after the game talking to Kev and you blokes. Like, you could see his character, but he's sort of old school footballer. That makes sense, just the way he was bantering with Kevy. And
Kevy said on the Kangaroo Tour he was a sponge around Nathan Cleary and Moses, particularly when it came to kicking. So he knows that he needs to improve in that area. And if he does that, it's only be a good thing for the Raiders. And particularly on that right-hand side, I think Strange is a dynamic ball runner. And having a back row like Noah Martin, right, who is straight up and down, is very good for a ball running half. If you have someone that likes to pre-line pass and things like that, it can put you off. But Noah Martin in that try here doesn't hesitate. Ko Weeks is running across the field, and if he doesn't move forward, this is not a try. This is a back row that loves contact, supports the halves. That's a hell of a try for a young back row.
It's gutsy, and that's how you complement an attacking player who's skimming across. Like Ko's he's just throwing the line in the water. He's fishing, and he's complemented that, and it shows his intelligence given the fact that Ko is just skimming across. He's spotted what he was going to do, probably 3 or 4 seconds before it, and he starts to make that run. And that's how you do it.
There's a bit of footy IQ about that because Ko Weeks is drifting across, and when he squares up this way into the line, Noah Martin squares up into the hole. So he is aware that he's gone into the right hole, and that means he needs to jump into the hole below. Because if he's outside Kohler, he doesn't get that pass.
I love the haircut too. That if you're an admirer of the the Green Machine in the 90s of Canberra Raiders under Tim Sheens, a lot of those forwards had that haircut. There's an old player, Darren Fritz. Do you remember Darren Fritz? Big Fritzy. You know?
Ricky Stewart said after the game that he deserved his spot because of the pre-season he had. So this guy sort of gets in first, last to leave, has a crack, and he was ready for that game.
What did you think about South's left side? A lot's been made of it. I mean, it was tricky conditions.
Yeah, tricky conditions. Like a lot of points scored, so I don't like that from either side of the team. But anything with Latrell, Fafita, Cody, Cody showed some signs that he's got his mojo back. Latrell is always going to be a moments player. Fafita was okay.
Yeah.
It looks like Jai Gray is locked in. But I will say this. We marvel at Latrell, Cody when they do their thing. I know he's not a new player, but he missed the majority of last year. Cam Murray is their most important player. Both sides of football, he makes tackles that other people miss. And when he's ball playing, he's like Isaiah Yeo. He knows when to run, he knows when to pass, and he's arguably, for a forward, the quickest play the ball in the competition. And that is only a good thing for Cody Walker.
I tell you who's going to be the beneficiary of that left side as well, is the right side edge players. Like, the centres of Campbell Graham. Campbell Graham got a double. Given the fact that we talk about that shot mentality, hit him on the edge, then shorten him up, hit him on the other edge. And now you think about that threat of that South Sydney left edge. You go Cody Walker to Big Dave, Dave to Latrell. It's going to take defenders to stop that threat, which means over the other side of the field in the following play, they're vulnerable.
Yeah, so the key for sort of Ashton Ward, who I think got injured, so someone else might come in this week, is all they need to do on that right-hand side is count defenders. As soon as they get 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, that's their opportunity to go. That means that the fullback's on the other side of the ruck. So it is literally just play in the middle of the field. If left side have the call, let them take it. But if you get your advantage, get your cue, take the ball on the right-hand side. Because if people start overcompensating defence for South Sydney's left edge, which is a huge threat, you need the other option to go. And it's a very similar situation for the Bulldogs. On their left side, you've got Kickow, Burton, Crichton. Now, if teams start loading up on that, that's why I like what Galvin and Preston did. Their ability to connect when an opportunity is seen in front of them.
What about some other young players or teams you're looking at that are on the up? The bloke I want to talk about firstly is Jack Howarth.
Yeah.
What impressed me about Jack Howarth is we spoke about, I spoke before about this, if you watch the Cowboys play, and it's a bit of a trend in the game at the moment where you get centres or backline movements, for use of a better term, edge movements that are trying to continually play around an opposition through parallel lines. On numerous times in this game, there were a number of times that he just got short ball and just challenged his centre just physically. Because he's a back rower.
You've got to play to your strengths, right? Like if you are big and strong and powerful, Mal Meninga was big, strong and powerful. Play to your strengths.
Tell me about it. I've still got the scar.
Someone like, your man at Newcastle, Gidley. Like if you're able to evade and flick, you've got to play to your strengths. And Jack Howarth's starting to find what his strengths are.
Cooper Clark, when he went on the field, and I went, mate, it's like looking at Lazo again. Like that's for me, his presence, his athleticism.
He's
and he
a
got
big
the ball.
boy.
Well, they said
He's a big boy.
They said he was 145 kilos, at one point a year ago, and mate, he's big and he's athletic. And at one point, there it is, he's got good late footwork, gets a quick play of the ball. That's where he so Lazo-like. But there was another time that he didn't receive the football, but he ran a really straight line on an option play, and mate, he looked like an edge back rower.
Yeah, he's going to be big and powerful. Once he gets a couple of games under his belt and a few pre-seasons, look at that. Like, he's a young man going through the teeth of the Parramatta defence. Yeah, he looks like he's got a big future. Another
bloke, mate, from my hometown, Fletcher Sharp. Fletcher Sharp, man.
The Knights were, because Vegas was a while ago, they were one of the, actually probably the best performing team. There were some big scorelines over the weekend, round one, but in terms of who impressed me the most, I thought what Newcastle did was very good.
That's it. That combination worked well.
Yeah, he went off injured. But, the first 20 or 30 minutes that he was on, he looked like,
Yeah.
They picked the right balance.
They did. I like the shapes that Justin Holbrook had them run because both Dylan Brown, Kalen Ponga and Fletcher Sharp, they run first players, and you want them running with football. But you don't run for the sake of it. And the shapes he was setting up was saying about the shape before with Ethan Sanders, the split shape. One under, one short. It's a running play, which gives you a pass option. And that's the way the three of them were playing. And Kalen Coops, it was a really good sign for Newcastle. Kalen was like barking on the field. It's the most I've seen him up on his toes, and he was, organising the attack into shape.
I'll back you up there. I was sidelined for that game in Vegas, and it's the most vocal, demanding, best leadership performance I've seen from Kalen Ponga. And we spoke about how he could, sort of change the way that fullbacks play. He doesn't have to always be 3 passes wide. He doesn't have to be the guy that just jumps on the back of a line break. He could be first receiver, second receiver, third receiver, main ball player and kicker, and he did that. He kicked the ball for a try for Fletcher Sharp. I think he did it all, and it was the best performance I've seen from Newcastle in a long time.
Teams who need to lift or individuals, come on, hit me with it.
Well, Roosters for one.
Okay, thank God.
I'll leave your mob for last. Actually, no, it's the Titans.
Okay, yeah.
There was a lot of hype. I like what Josh Hannay did in the pre-season, but there's one thing that needs to improve, and it's their goal line defence. Like the Nico Hines try, where he wraps around from a hidden position on Trindle. Like as a defensive edge or a defensive edge play, you just cannot have your blinkers on. You need to be able to have your head on a swivel and see multiple players moving around. I think Josh Hannay's trying to instill a defensive system, but they're just trying to be so robotic at the moment. They're missing things in the external
it's
parts.
a learning process for a lot of...
Yeah. But they were poor. They were poor.
Coops, when we talk about trial games, people say, trials mean nothing. In my opinion, they mean something.
Big time. They smashed the Melbourne Storm.
And I think what you take out of trials, particularly with a new coach and new players, is you go into the game testing these new principles and say, do they hold up and do they work? And what you saw with the Titans, the way Josh wants to coach that side, it works. There's no doubt about it. Talking about trials, the danger sometimes with trials is the fact that you can come out of the trials and go, whew, we're ready to go. And that 2 weeks leading in, you just don't dot the I's, cross the T's, where other sides will get there. I think that 2 weeks leading into that first game, you've really got to be pulling the sheets back, going right out, and really examining your game. I think as a collective, I think the Titans would have been doing that, but individually, there's no doubt that some guys would have went, okay, I'm going good, I've earned my spot, and I'm ready to go. And I think how that manifests itself, Coop, a lot of times is the energy that you actually exude in defence. First time the Sharks had the ball, almost the first set, I'm sitting there going, could be in trouble here. They just kept poking their nose through.
What about the Roosters, mate? Went over to New Zealand.
I think, look, I don't want to say, my temptation is to say, it's the same old Roosters, but in the last 5 years, Coop, most of those years we've gone into the competition and go, mate, the Roosters can win this. Roosters, a lot of people are saying they're our competition favourites and everything. And you go into the first few rounds and they just don't get their football balance right. And going to New Zealand in those conditions, round one, you know how the Warriors are going to play. And like we said off the top of the show, they tried to finesse and football their way to superiority and they got caught out.
And you could tell by the way they played that they were way more focused on maybe that new spine developing and, playing good attacking football, but to concede 40 points. I'll say this, that, Cherry Evans and Sam might sort of have some, question marks around their attack. But I think if they get their defence right, they make the Roosters a better team. As I said, Tanner Boyd went through on Cherry Evans. Klook started to try, Sam came up out of the line. There's just moments that we analyse football and we say halves is all about attack. Well, if halves can make a team better defensively, there's 12 points or, a few other points they might save to make them a better team when they come down to fight. So, but I dare say this is not the first time that Trent Robinson's had a team that has started slowly and then...
To finish with, Coop, just want to ask you about, and it was one of the stories of last year, and that is, the Dogs and their halves. Who's the 7, who's the 6, Ken Galvin's gym around the park. We commentated that game. And what is it a concern? Well, at the moment it is. We'll put it this way. Cameron Sorrello needs to do some work on still the game management. that the halves have got?
So there was, what was it, 4 minutes to go.
Yeah.
It was obvious that you had to take the shot. Now, there's two parts to why that didn't happen. Either one, the coach has worked out the system that when it gets inside 5 minutes, what we're doing, which I find that really hard to believe under Cameron Ciraldo.
He'd have that nailed.
I would find that they have simulated that situation 500 times during pre-season. So the next one is, the shot callers in that moment. If you go back and have a look at that set with 4 minutes to go, at no stage does Galvin or Burton fall into some position that says, I'm thinking about the field goal.
Yeah.
So I think it comes back to rehearsing it, knowing what it is, and in simple terms, Matty, if it's a tied game and you get to 10 minutes, maybe try and shift the ball for a try, but if you don't, reset the middle, take the shot.
Yep.
If it's inside 5 minutes, don't over-engineer it. Simple, effective runs, get to the right side of the field and take the shot.
Yep.
Because you put scoreboard pressure on the opposition, all of a sudden they need to start, risk first reward. So inside 5 minutes, don't sugarcoat it. Just take the field position, take the shot. Way too much passing leads to stress and chaos, and you probably don't get the right field position for the shot.
Nice one, Coops.
Good on you, mate.